I was half joking about Reece Walsh before, but at some point, he started to make more plays than he was up.
Yeah.
That's the
There's
reality.
a bit of learning in that too.
So what do you do with him, and what are the instructions to a prodigious talent like Reece Walsh?
Yeah, you got to let him go. You got to let him explore it. And there are times there where I had to say, "Hey, mate, come on, you need to pull back here." But I think Reece's maturity throughout the season grew. He's a real carer. Reece, you can see that through how he lives his life with his daughter and everyone around him. Like, he really cares for his teammates. So, the errors that he was sort of putting onto the team, he got a better understanding about when to fire the shot rather than sort of probably putting the team under pressure. And I think that's been a great growth for Reece. And you can hear him talking about that now. To win a game of rugby league, you got to make sure you hang on to that ball, but you also then got to be able to execute the way he does.
But the reality at this point of the season was that there are a lot of folks out there going, Reece Walsh is a proper liability.
Yeah.
How can you trust him?
Yeah, and look, I think he's changed that opinion pretty quickly, hasn't he?
That's for sure.
So, to see him roll through and...
But from a coaching point of view, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm fascinated by what you do with that talent. Because there's so much good that can come, but then so much risk.
Yeah, but you've got a game for 80 minutes. I get to see him every day at training. So you could see a lot of moments of training where he was improving. And that's the part of when you have your players each week, you're watching them grow. You literally see them physically and mentally and tactically. They grow as they're going through. And Reece is no different because he wanted to excel. He wanted to make sure he got to the highest level. And there's certain things that you got to do when you want to be at that level. Previous fullbacks, they don't make too many errors. They look after the ball and all the rest of it. So he understands that. And he then just got the balance of his game at a really good level.
Yeah, I think probably people, you have the rail run on what he's really like.
Yeah.
What's the misconception about Reece Walsh?
Oh, there's a fair few misconceptions. He's a cracking young man.
Is he?
Yeah, he's to be around. He's got a lot of energy and he likes to have fun. But then when you see the dad, that's pretty impressive. He's got the beautiful little daughter that runs around and he's got his eyes on his daughter everywhere she goes, and and that's I get to see that in pain and his kids, and they're pretty special moments. I think that you get to see a player as they're developing. Sometimes you get these younger players, they come in and they finally get their girlfriend and then they get married and then all of a sudden they have kids, and next thing you know, all of a sudden they're playing at the highest level and representative, and the kids are growing up with the team, and that's something there that's really nice to have at the Broncos, a real family atmosphere around what we do.
But you're a family guy. It's really important to you. I remember meeting your beautiful wife and your kids up in Queensland, and boy, that was a big move for them.
Yeah.
Just by the by. Taking them out of high school.
It was a big change, and I probably should thank them because they're the ones on the ride that go on the ups and downs. It's not easy at times.
What do you reckon the hardest thing is for them?
I think they've got used to it now because of the crazy journey I've had with this game. But early days, the ups and downs and the noise that they have to go to school and hear about what's going on. And but I think that's really helped them in who they are. I think, so different circumstances that kids go through.
I remember I got a call from my daughter once, and she was reading the Woman's Day magazine. She said, "Dad, I had no idea you did that." And I was like... it's hard on kids, this life.
Yeah, when it's out in the open, I mean, you go through it, Karl. It's you're quite exposed, but also too, there's a lot of joy about it too. So that's part of anyone's role in whatever job they do. But we get to have some pretty special moments. I've been able to stand on the middle of the field with my family. After watching a team win a grand final, like not many people share that. So they're the special moments.
You talk about the players like they're your family.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think they are. I mean, I probably see them more than my own kids, and that's part of it. But you're watching these young men turn into people that people look up to. And it's fascinating just to watch how they work their way through it too. I mean, when you do well, you get patted on the back. Well, how do you get back to work again and go after it again? Because as we just discussed before, that our fans, we've got some very special fans, and we played in that Penrith game, and to be honest, that was one of the most amazing atmospheres I've seen. I'm sitting in the coach's box. And you don't really hear anything because they've got the windows there. We had the window rattling. I remember saying to Trent, this bloody window shaking here. And then we had all these fans down in front of us going absolutely burgo at the end of the game, and just how happy it was. It was a good moment.
I'll circle back to that in just a second, but the game before that, I mean, you're talking about three of the greatest rugby league games that have ever been played in the history of the game, and your side is involved in. Let's start with Canberra. Big game. Big stage, a blow-up, Reese with the headbutt. I mean, talk us through what that was like for you in the coach's box.
Yeah, you and I had a chat earlier. I think it was replayed there yesterday, and I just happened to have it on the TV, and I thought, I'll just sit down and have a look at the back end of the game. Even I was getting nervous. I was thinking, I know the result. I'm still getting nervous. I still sort of go, how on earth did we get through that one? But the work that the players put in and the belief they had, and they were on a path, and it went our way that day.
Yeah, but Reese gets sent off.
Yeah.
They give it to him on the way out.
Yeah.
And then, did you talk to him?
Well, we ended up having Paddy get sent off too. So we had two in the bin. So I think Paddy looked after Walshy, and I think...
did they have words to him? Because he came out and it was like he'd transformed into Superman.
Oh, look, there was a little bit of dialogue, but between those two, they came out and just changed the game, didn't they? And Reese, he probably did Reese the world of good. He had a bit of a spell, and he came out and came up with 3 try assists and tries and things like that at the back end of the game, and just the energy that those two injected back in, and because of the circumstances, I suppose, of what we'd been through over the previous games, we'd come back from a few of the games, and that word belief, they believed that they could do it together, and they were able to do that.
I mean, it was basically 11 p.m. at night, and that game was still going. It's the longest game I've ever seen in my life. It's the most tense I've ever been in the game.
Yeah.
But what's inside a coach's body physically and inside your mind when that's all going on? Yeah,
we had the last play, which could have gone either way. The knock on, I was physically sick. I thought, bloody hell, this is, the players have been through everything, and the God said, no, it's going our way. And then all of a sudden the boys got a set, and then Hunty comes up with an incredible moment after, the things, and all the conversations come back to you that you've had about, the ride that he's had to that moment in time, and he kicks that field goal. You just go, geez, sometimes people deserve what they get.